All right. It is 7 p.m. on Tuesday, September 7th, 2021. I'm calling our regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of Sycamore Township to order. Do we have an invocation, Mr. Kellops?
Yes, we do.
All right. For those who are able to stand, please do.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many and abundant blessings that you have bestowed upon us. And we thank you for the freedom that we enjoy to be able to openly worship you. Father, we pray for the wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests of our times and the ability to work together for the citizens of Sycamore Township. We pray for the true sense of the welfare and needs of all our citizens. Father, we pray for the agenda before us tonight and ask that you give us the assurance of what would please you. We ask for your blessings over everyone that lives, works, and plays in Sycamore Township. It's in your blessed name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I'll ask those of you standing to remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Porter. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. LaBarbera?
Here.
Mr. James?
I am here.
Mr. Weedman? Present.
All right. First item on the agenda actually is amending the agenda before we go into minutes. I would like to move to amend our agenda tonight, first of all, to correct as to the executive session that it will be as to imminent litigation as opposed to pending litigation, and to add sale of real property as an executive session item also, and secondly or thirdly, I suppose, to add a resolution amending appropriations to the agenda as well. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Porter?
Mr. LaBarbera?
Aye.
Mr. James?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
All right, moving on then to approval of minutes, which is our first printed agenda item here. We have the August 17th, 2021 trustees meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Porter?
LaBarbera?
Aye.
Mr. James?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
Next, we have a proclamation designating September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. This is something that Township has been doing for many years, and typically when we have a resolution such as this, either the chairman or one of the trustees will read through it in its entirety to present it. Here in the Township, though, we've got a sort of a unique and maybe unfortunate situation where each of the three trustees, our wives, have been affected by cancer in various ways. Ovarian and otherwise. And so I thought it would be appropriate for each of the trustees to read portions of this resolution before we adopt it. So I'm going to ask Mr. LaBarbera if you'll start with the first three whereases, and then I'll do three, and then Mr. Weedman will conclude.
Whereas ovarian cancer claims more women's lives than any other gynecological cancer, and whereas the American Cancer Society estimates that in 2021, over 21,410 women will be diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and approximately 13,770 will perish from the disease. And whereas ovarian cancer is difficult to detect, and women are often not diagnosed until the disease has reached an advanced stage. And
Thank you. Whereas early diagnosis of ovarian cancer can increase the survival rate to as high as 94%. And whereas certain factors can reduce the risk of ovarian cancer and play an important role in its prevention. And whereas awareness and early detection of ovarian cancer is the best means of protecting women's lives from this disease.
And whereas the board further wishes to recognize and honor the thousands of women who battled valiantly against the disease and to further encourage them in their daily struggles. Now, therefore, in commendation of all the women and their families fighting the disease, the board hereby proclaims September 2021 as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month in Sycamore Township, and the board calls upon all citizens, agencies, organizations, healthcare providers, and research institutions to raise ovarian cancer awareness and continue helping Americans live longer, healthier lives. Pat, and I think we need to vote in order to pass.
We need to vote. Mr. Porter, will you call the roll as to this resolution, please?
Mr. LaBarbera?
aye.
Mr. James?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye. And that would be passed unanimously the 7th day of September 2021.
Thank you, everyone. We'll all sign off on this before the meeting's over here.
I'd just like to, on behalf of, I serve on the Ovarian Cancer Alliance of Greater Cincinnati on their board, and
we've really done some great things with these women. It's a tough disease because they really don't know that there are no real good symptoms to determine that they actually have it. And so I've been working very closely with on the research committee and also on the advocacy committee. I did get Congressman Shabbat and Congressman Wenstrup to both agree to join the ovarian. There's actually an ovarian cancer subcommittee in Congress, and I did get them both to agree to join that committee, and we have been raising significant amounts of money. We have about, in the last 5 years, I think we have about $1.5 million directly into research. A lot of it has gone to University of Pennsylvania, to the ovarian cancer facility there, and we've actually funded the first 2 patients in a clinical trial that appears to be very promising. It's all immunotherapy, and frankly, that's where we're going to go in the future. Immunotherapy is, if we're going to cure cancer, that's probably where it's going to be. And so I'm grateful that we agreed to make September Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month in Sycamore Township, and hopefully more women will determine this. That they have this disease earlier on, so that they don't fall into a bad category. Because the longer you wait, if you have stage 1, you have about a 90 to 95% survival rate. But if it gets to stage 3, you have about a 35% chance of making it 5 years. So it's a tough disease, and I'm just glad that we are making this Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month in Sycamore Township. So thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Moving on, we have a resolution concerning the zoning case we had a public hearing for at 6 p.m. today. Zoning case 2021-13 LASR, or LASER as it's known. Mr. Miller, take it away.
Yes, sir. I'll read the resolution first, and we can discuss potential conditions.
Yes,
Okay.
please do.
All right, a resolution approving a localized sign regulation plan located in the Kenwood Special Public Interest District and dispensing with a second reading.
I'll make a motion to approve, and I'd just like to add one condition, that we remove the violin off the window.
I will second that. And as Mr. Miller makes his edits there, this concerns 7715 Montgomery Road, adjacent to Chetbert Road Drive. And the building is being redone, or has recently been redone. This will affect the signage on the building.
Okay. Are we satisfied with the language for new item 3? The Antonio's violin logo and graphic affixed to the window shall be removed, and future window signage shall be prohibited.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. For the public's benefit, for those who weren't here for the public hearing earlier, could you put up an image of what we're talking about, Mr. Miller?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, the old violin isn't on this sign, but there is there's an old vinyl decal of a violin with the original Antonio violin and Ukes logo here in this corner.
It's large. Actually, it's large enough to cover the entire window, isn't it?
It is
From
Yeah,
left to right.
it-
Yep.
Yeah, it goes the full three panels.
All right. Can you just give a very brief description of what it is we're being asked to do here for the public's benefit, and then we can discuss as needed and vote?
Certainly.
Thank you.
So the applicant for case number 2021-13 LASR is requesting essentially a special sign criteria for their site, which would allow for a total of four sign placements on the facade of the building. One for the on-site unit, one for Antonio Violins, and actually 2 for the Love Sugaring site, due to that unit being located in the rear of the building, so that they have visibility from Montgomery Road, but also ease of access as far as locating their entrance. There's also a monument sign that is being placed on site, which would have all three units on a marquee that stands approximately 7 feet tall. So, anything else you'd like me to add?
And as we discerned in the public hearing, the rear sign for the business will be lit, but at a reduced, I'm sorry, I'm losing the term I'm thinking of here.
Foot candles.
Foot candles, thank you, at a reduced foot candle level from typical signs. The parking lot is already lit there, and so this will be within the confines of that. There's a rear fence and some greenery back there, we understand also, and some distance to the neighborhood. Any discussion from anyone as to this? All right. Mr. Porter, will you call the roll?
Mr. LaBarbera?
Aye.
Mr. James?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
All right, moving on then to public comments. Is there anyone who wishes to do so?
Yep. 1 second, Jay. I'll be right. Sorry.
And just to note on the record, as we occasionally do, public comments are typically limited to 4 minutes. We'll put a clock up on the screen so you'll be able to keep track of your time. And we ask you to be respectful and enunciate. Are you ready?
Whenever you are.
State your name first, please, and address.
My name is Jay Janis Jr. I live at 4462 Daffodil Avenue, Sycamore Township, Ohio. On the pre-dawn hours of Sunday, September 5th, 2021, I was sleeping. I was awakened by some oral utterances and looked across my house. My wife was sitting in the chair in front of the TV. I thought she initially had fallen asleep. She continued the utterances. I got up, I went over to her, I called her name. She did not respond. Her eyes were not open, she could not hear me. I wasn't quite sure what was happening, but I knew it was major life-threatening. I still have a landline phone, so I went over and called for help. Sycamore Township Fire Department responded, and they showed up in my front yard. Oh, let me back up. What was probably a matter of minutes was the longest moments of my life. I actually thought my wife was going to die before my eyes. When they showed up, I quickly advised them of some of her pre-existing conditions. Initially, I thought there was 4 personnel, but I was informed later there was 5. They ruled out 1, and the second assessment was correct. They administered some medication, which brought her to slowly, but she recovered. They had some gauges and meters and so forth. And basically, she's diabetic, and I didn't know what it was called at the time, but she went in insulin shock. Had I not heard her, no one would have ever called for help, and she would have died right there. The fire department personnel informed me that they suggested she take some carbohydrates. She did after they left, and she slowly recovered, and it was close to sunrise. I guess in the military they call this an after-action report. As the fire department personnel was leaving, I asked one of them, what would have happened had I not called, had they not responded? And they informed me she would have been dead in 3 hours. Trustee LaBarbera, I believe that during your first term of office, you advocated and were successful in getting 6 additional fire department personnel. Trustee James, I recall you informing me that you had an opportunity to tour the fire departments, so you were aware of their past issues, their present issues, and their future needs. I'd like to think because of both of you, my wife is alive now because of that. And I made a public records request because I personally didn't know who they were, people that showed up. And with Chief Penny here, I apologize if I pronounced their names wrong, but in alphabetical order by their last name. Joe Lowry, Donald Skarpinski, Tom Swimley or Smiley, Craig Wiederhold, and Steve Wiederhold. I learned this from Captain Ben Hay Captain today in a public records request. He informed me that, kind of ironically, that one of the persons that responded was the newest hire. So for anybody, some of you here, I've informed since then, you're aware of it. For anybody beyond my outside of it being here tonight, without them, my wife would not be here now. And I guess I could say, if you want to count me as communicating, 5 fire personnel, 6 people saved a life on Sunday morning in Sycamore Township. There's nothing else I can say. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay, and Chief,
Great
thanks
job,
to
Chief.
your guys for all of that, of course.
She's doing good.
Yeah, Mrs. Janis also sent in a letter through Mr. Janis that he's handed to all of us here, I think, about this as well from her, and we're glad to know she's okay and writing letters, so that's a good thing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Bob?
My name is Bob Beeson. I live at Cougar Meadow, where it intersects or joins to Cougar Mill Road. I just wanted to say a well done to that construction company because they have been so accommodating to us and to other people up and down the street. And they've gone out of their way to do nice things for us and make it, very, very easy to do. Also to Dan, who is, I guess, Sycamore Township's man on the scene.
Inspector.
Yeah.
Dan Durham.
Dan Durham. He's been very informative. He lets us know what's coming, what we need to prepare for. If he had a special request, he tries to take care of that for us. It's just been a nice experience. They've done very, very well.
Great.
And one quick question for, you prefer sergeant or deputy?
Sergeant's fine.
Sergeant. We're going to have a point where we can't get in and out of our house for a while, or our driveway. So what we're going to do is park over in that, is it Tri-Health? Is that what it's called? The
North Creek
medical
complex?
buildings?
North
Yes.
Creek buildings there?
It's after everybody's left, but normally there's nobody there, and occasionally I think the county does patrol that. So if you might want to pass on that if they would see like maybe a half a dozen cars there for a couple of days. It's just us, so don't tow us.
I can pass it along, but it's private property, so you got
Correct.
up to the owners. We wouldn't be towing anybody out of there anyway.
Yeah, and there's no signs about
Okay.
that or trespassing.
And part of it's
Don't
public
park here.
property, actually, too. Part of it's public
Yeah,
parking.
part of it is
The
actually
garage
owned by
is public.
Sycamore
Is it? I
Township,
wasn't
or we
aware of
own
that. I
the
thought it was
hold the
all
notes
title.
or something like that.
Okay.
But,
What days are these going to be?
well, it kind of depends on where the
Oh.
construction company gets there.
Okay. I'll make a note for the officers who are on duty so they know
Yeah,
that's
it'll be
going
when
on.
they pour the curbs, which is coming soon, and then the sidewalks, and probably eventually the road.
Okay.
But it's literally for a day or two at a time, you'll see like half dozen cars there
Okay.
that are normally not there.
I'll,
But we're gone in the mornings.
I'll,
so.
I'll get with Dan on that
Okay.
schedule, and I'll try and reach out to the management for the building.
Yeah, well,
So
and like I
that way
say,
we don't get called on.
when we're there, nobody else is there,
Yeah.
and they're all gone in the morning anyway. So I don't think we're going to.
I'll still make a note to let the guys know that are working. Pass it
Yeah,
along.
because it's different than what they would normally see.
Well, it's also going to be cars that are going to be over there unattended.
Correct,
Not in
correct.
somebody's house, so.
Right, right. But they're not junky cars, they're nice
No,
cars.
I meant more like it's
Cars
a
there
target of
abandoned
opportunity
them or
for somebody
something,
passing by.
They'll know it's okay. And that was it. I just want to say well done, because I'm sure those guys get a lot of complaints over time, but at least the people on my street I know are, and probably most of Cougar Mill are very happy with their work.
That's great.
So-
Dan does a great job.
He does.
Yeah,
yes, he
really,
does.
really great.
He does.
He's a great ambassador to all the neighbors out there. So thanks, Bob.
That he
Yeah.
is, that he
And thanks for thinking of your neighbors with parking, too. That's
Oh,
good
no
of you to
problem.
bring that up.
No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Moving on to our next agenda item then, we have Sheriff's Patrol Report. Sergeant, what do you have?
I have nothing specific to pass on from the sheriff's office. We are working with the fire department on some active threat drills involving some of the members in the community, the town center, Muller High School. That'll be coming more in October, but nothing specific to pass along.
Very good. Any questions for the sergeant from anyone? All right, thanks. Next, EMS and Fire Report. Chief, what have you got?
Good evening. First, I'd like to say that our firefighters
come to work every day hoping to hear stories that Jay Janice just gave. We don't always get those, but when we do get them, they really hit home. There's, that what we do makes a difference. So thank you, Jay, for bringing that up. And I hope your wife does fine. Keep that sugar level going, though. The other thing I wanted to bring up is on the station projects. We did some finessing, and we were able to get the sprinkler system at this firehouse down here from $108,000 down to $2,300.
Wow.
And there's a catch, though. And what we were able to do is, I was talking to our fire investigator, our fire inspector, Doug Morath, and because the fire station has never had a fire alarm, by adding a fire alarm, they will exchange that for a monitored sprinkler system. So, and Doug explained it to me. He says, we've done that before, where if you're actually changing what's required to something better, then they will allow that. So Doug reached out to the Hamilton County Building Department, and they agreed that was a good idea. It is temporary. We told them that we're planning on doing something with the building major within the next 2 years. So they're banking on this being a temporary fix, but at the same time, we are going to be able to, we were going to install the fire alarm system anyway, but the $2,300 comes in because the sprinkler company is going to reroute the sprinkler system feed to an FDC that'll be on the property, to where if the building did catch fire, we could hook a fire truck to it and pump into it. So we would still have a working sprinkler system. It just isn't going to be an automatic system that's off of domestic water. But they recognize that it's more important that the fire alarm goes off and the fire alarm wakes up the firemen and gets them out of the building versus no fire alarm and just having a sprinkler system activated. So by doing that, we were able to scrap the idea of having to redo the whole sprinkler system in the building. So
That's great. I do have a question, though. Who's the "they" you keep referring to?
the building department and
Okay.
the fire inspector.
Yeah, okay.
They're the two main culprits that call the shots on what we do. And with Doug, the fire inspector, saying we've done it before in the past, so he reached out to the Hamilton County Building Department, explained what we were wanting to do, and they agreed that was a good idea, and they approved it. So by doing that, we will be able to go that route. So $2,300 reconnection of the sprinkler system so we can pump into it, and then the normal of what we already approved for the fire alarm system will take care of. It'll actually be a better system than what we had in the past, because we never had a fire alarm system in that firehouse. So we never had any way to wake the guys up at night if there was a fire. And it was allowed back in 1995. It was totally legal, it was totally allowable, but we want to improve that this time.
Excellent.
So we're going that route. Some of the things that you guys approved last meeting, we've contacted the contractors, and we're scheduling to get some of this stuff going. The only thing that we're still waiting on is we're doing the advertisement on the smoke eject system for the exhaust system, because that has to be a bid, that goes out. So we're still working with that, but everything else that was approved, we got set up contractors to come out and start working on things. So everything's moving along well, and the sprinkler system revamp that we're going to be doing should take place within the next week and a half. So that's good news, because then if we do a fire, we can't pump into the sprinkler system and put the fire out. Now we can't do anything. So yeah, we're going. And I talked to Tracy and his guys. I think are going to dig the hole for us, so it saves us money there too. So they don't have to rent a backhoe and dig it out. So to where it lines up, it's going to be a very easy fix for us to reconvert that. So that'll work good. The only other thing I have is the reminder that St. Savior Festival is this weekend, and we are scheduled with a ladder truck on Sunday 7 o'clock for the golf ball drop to conclude the end of the festival for that night. So we will be there to do that.
What time is that, Chief? 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock is the golf ball drop. I think the festival starts, what, 5 or so, 4 or 5. But the golf ball drop that we do with our aerial is at 7. So we'll be there for that. Carol Richter from St. Xavier and the whole organization is they're very pleased that we're involved in that and that we're doing that with them. It's good PR, and it puts another attraction in the mix for them. So it works out pretty well. Other than that, I think that's all I have.
Okay. Hey, how are COVID runs going now? I'm curious. With
Not too bad. We have one here and there, but it's not too bad.
Good.
Yeah. We have not gotten any updates from the health department on anything extraordinary. I think what we've all been hearing is pretty much what's going on. The hospitals are starting to crowd up. The virus seems to be hitting the kids more than the adults. The non-vaccinated people are what are overwhelming the hospitals right now. Vaccinated people are not. We're still waiting on the release of the Moderna for the booster. The health department says they're expecting to get those by the end of September, which puts us in line with when we should be getting them anyway, based on when we got them the last time. So we're not overdue. We're not off schedule. We're still fine. Hopefully Moderna gets the FDA approval and everything gets worked out there, so we can get them by the end of September. So, but other than that, we've had a couple high fever runs, but it hasn't been like it was last year. Hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah, let's hope. Any questions for the chief from anybody?
Nope.
All right. Thanks, Chief. So moving on, roads, maintenance, and recreation. Tracy, what do you have?
Before I start, I'd like Chief to thank Doug Morath. He did a great job.
He did.
When he saw those plans, because, we obviously had heartburn over putting $100,000 in a sprinkler system that wasn't going to last forever. And as soon as Doug saw that, he took action. He did a great job. So thank him for us, if you will.
We will. I already did, but I'll do it again.
All right. So crews are busy. Obviously, we still have a lot of crews out in the neighborhoods repairing sidewalks, another service that the township provides to our residents. They've been all over the place. They're doing a great job. As far as our projects, Cougar Mill is the main one that's still going. And as Bob said, they have done a great job out there. They've kept the ball moving. In fact, they brought in a second crew, so they had 2 crews out there, one working on each end. They are done with the storm sewer. And in fact, Steve Riddleshofer has helped a lot. Our contractor who's doing that is also working with the homeowner, so we can get all of the MSD taps and the water taps in for the 11 houses that are going to be built there before the road gets paved, because the timing was not good. They were going to be coming in as soon as we were done with the road, tearing it up in 22 different spots. And as I said, can't we do something about that? And Steve did a good job organizing that. And we had a call today about MSD and their taps. So it looks like we're going to get all that done. Waterworks taps are supposed to be done within the next 2.5 weeks. So that's great news. We always hate to fix a road and have utility companies come in and tear them up. It's happened more than once. So we're very appreciative of that. And there is definitely going to be some times when the citizens can't get in there, and that's going to be a long stretch, especially when we are doing the actual reclamation, because they come in and they tear the whole road up and they add cement and they spread it out and they roll it out, and there's 24 hours minimum that nobody can drive on that. So that's going to be very challenging. And when you think about delivery trucks, school buses, everything that goes up and down Cougar Mill.
So do we know about when that will be?
Not
As
yet.
of that stage?
Okay. I mean, we're probably a week away from starting on curbs. So we've probably got 3 weeks of concrete work, I'm guessing, maybe more, and it won't be till after that.
And this only affects a limited number of people, but Bob here is one of them. During that phase, well, obviously you can't drive on it during that, but will people be able to walk on it to get
Yes.
out? Okay.
Yes, they can walk on it.
Yeah, because he's on a captive street and there's some others like
Right.
that. Okay.
Yeah, there's that, there's New England Court back here, there's
yeah.
everybody that lives on Cougar Mill, and it's gonna affect a lot of people,
Yeah.
so.
Bob, I think Bob actually had a question about that.
Yeah, our other choice was gonna be to park in Charter Road, except buses go through there.
Yeah.
Even though you can park on the street there, yeah, you start filling that up at the wrong spot, it's gonna be hard for the school bus to navigate that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why we thought maybe cross at the medical buildings.
Yeah, and we're working with the school district also, because getting the kids picked up and dropped off is really going to be a challenge. We still haven't figured that one out, but we're working on it.
What's your time frame? When do you think this will be completed? We had talked before, and you thought
Yeah.
November sometime, is that still?
That's still the time frame. It's still the time frame. Yeah.
One other question, I'm sorry, back to the sidewalks. A neighbor on Autumnwood had asked about that, and I assume that was our work, if there was repair work done on the sidewalk there. Could you have your guys take a look at whatever repairs we did, if the grass seeding that was done around it, one of the neighbors was concerned about that? I haven't looked at it, I don't know whether there's a concern or not, but I'd appreciate it if somebody could go back by and take a look.
Okay. It has to be watered. We've been in a big drought.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, next, we have a quote here from PCS, Professional Cabling Solutions. This is to wrap up our camera project. As you know, we've been working on this for quite a while in all our parks and our traffic cameras on Kenwood, Montgomery, Galbraith. We've had some cameras, we've had some problems, and we've just now finished wiring all our parks. Most of them have been done besides Bechtold, which now has Wi-Fi, and we're ready to go. So as you can see, this is a quote for $79,656.75. Now, $36,715 of that is a new server, because our old server will not handle this as far as all the cameras and the storage and recording. And it also includes a 3-year support from Genetic Advantage, who is the company that we're going with as an improvement over the company that we have now, which is Milestone. And then we also have 44 cameras. 16 of those are new, 13 of them are in Bechtold, 3 of them are here in the back, 1 on this building, 2 in the building in back. The rest are replacements, so there's 16 new, there's 28 replacements, meaning there's 28 cameras that we have out there right now that are not working.
Are most of those on the roads?
No, most of those are in the parks.
Okay,
26 of them are in the parks,
Really?
only
Okay.
2 are traffic.
okay.
So,
It's the two on top of the collection.
yeah, on top of
Those
the
two?
collection.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew we had a problem with those.
How
Hey,
old-
Trace,
So
the 36,000, can we use TIF on that?
we can on the server, yes.
Okay,
Not on the cameras, but we can on the server.
okay.
And with that, that's this company is a member of GSA, which is General Services Administration, which is a federal cooperative purchasing program, just like we do the state program. So all the bidding's been done for us, so we don't have to go out to bid, so we save more money there. They are the approved vendor. So we have 13 new ones at Bechtold, 3 here, 2 traffic cameras, 26 replacements in the parks. So the cameras are a total of $42,940.97. And with that GSA pricing, that's a 30% discount on the cameras, and it's a 45% discount on the server.
Great.
So it's
great.
it's a lot of money, but it's a large discount at the same time.
So your total bill on this is over 79,000, right? Just a little north of 79.
That's correct.
How old are the cameras that are no longer functional?
I would say they're right around
10, 12?
10 to 12 years
Yeah,
since we
10,
started
12
putting these
years.
on the roads.
Yeah.
Do we know what their
And
usable life was
parks.
supposed to be when we put them out? I mean, have they died early or outlived their
I would say
expected life?
that these cameras are a definite upgrade. I would say that those are probably
They-
just about filled their lifetime.
Yeah, these cameras do have a higher weather rating. In addition, a lot of the cameras that we had out there are PTZ, pan tilt zoom. So they have all these extra moving pieces. That's great if you're actively monitoring them because you can move them around. But it's just more opportunity, more points of failure. The cameras we're replacing them with have a higher resolution, wider angle, but they're static. So once you set them, that's the viewing angle. It makes each individual camera actually a lot cheaper than a PTZ because it doesn't have all those additional components. Makes them more resilient, more durable.
So this server, where is that going? Down in the
So
basement?
it's down in the basement in the server rack. Calling it a server is a bit of a misnomer. It's actually more of a network attached storage device, but it is like a standalone controller and storage device.
Well, yeah, is it a device controller or is it simply something receiving data and storing it?
It's a server in the simplest sense. It does have the software on it that controls the cameras. It is the storage device for all of the data or all of the video that we're collecting. It's going to be able to store at least 7 days worth of all of our video feeds, and then it's going to continually just overwrite itself. So if there's an event out in the parks or on traffic, we've got 7 days to capture that.
So everything's coming here by fiber, I assume, and getting dumped into that.
Yeah, all of our Wi-Fi in the parks, our cameras, they're all on our dark fiber. And everything comes back to this building.
Okay. Would there be any advantage in going with cloud-based storage for this instead and just sending it further up the pipe for that?
You're talking about a lot of data, a lot of bandwidth. We would be paying a very high service fee for the amount of data that we're collecting. If we were talking about one building with some security cameras, that might be, that might make sense, but our network is just too large. So.
What sort of redundancy will this unit have if the main unit goes down? Does it take all the cameras down?
If the server goes down, everything goes down.
Yeah.
But we've been working on some redundancy with our server rack. There's redundant power. It's on 2 separate circuits. So if one of the battery backups goes down on the server, the other one picks it up. We also have redundancy in our switches. It's a lot of we've actually used a lot of COVID money to double up on all the switches down there. It's still a work in progress, but that's definitely something we're building in. Another thing we're looking at doing for low cost is failover internet services. So right now our main feed is Spectrum. For a small fee, is Cincinnati Bell-Fi Optics. For a small fee each month, we're going to have a Spectrum service, which will manage. We'll actually switch over. That'll be our main. The fiber, the Fi Optics will be running the park's Wi-Fi, and if at any point in time one of those services goes down, it'll automatically flip over, so we won't lose any data.
For the, not to get too technical, but for the storage in the server, is it SSD? Is it spinning platters?
So with these large ones, they are still hard drives, but they're I think it's, I I want to say it's RAID 3. I'd have to look at that, but it is a RAID setup.
Okay.
So there is some redundancy there.
Okay.
As far as our network, the data that we use, that we're, our files, those are backed up every 15 minutes, and every night those are uploaded offsite. The camera footage will not be that way. That's too much data, way too expensive.
Just a thought to park away for the future. We need to look at our records retention policy to make sure we're not required to keep it longer once we start keeping it. Because we're going to get records requests from people looking for video of car wrecks and other things if they know that's there. And
It may be that we need to update that and just, we can document in our public records retention, we are keeping 7 days. And then it's automatically, I think we just have to notate that.
Yeah.
If we don't already.
Yeah, the other thing to look out there, though, is if 6.5 days into that 7 days, somebody makes a request going back, once we've gotten the request, I think we're obligated to produce it if we still had it. So just, again, something to think about in the future as to that. I know I'm taking us a little astray from the hardware here, I know, but.
Yeah. We'll look at that policy. It was already on my radar.
Okay. All right.
And who's monitoring it? You're in charge of it?
I work with so I'm working with our IT vendor to do just the general projects with our server and general network. The cameras are not actively monitored on any regular basis. It's an as needed basis.
The only time they're monitored is during Christmas.
Right.
Our traffic signals are. I mean,
That's when
we can
TEC
get on-
takes
I
it
can get
over.
onto them, Skylar can get onto them, but we don't monitor them per
Check it out
se.
every once in a
We
while.
check it out every once in a while. That's why we're going away from the PTZs. If they're pointed somewhere, it doesn't do any good unless you got somebody sitting there monitoring that can move it. With these cameras, we've gone to several different kinds, especially for in the parks where we're having so much vandalism. We're going to have some at the entrances where we can see license plates, and then we're going to have other ones that are wide angle that are going to cover the whole park. So we do not actively monitor though.
Check on it. Somebody's checking it.
This is actually an example of one of the lower grade trial cameras that we brought in. This is a single camera that is actually doing a 360-degree shot of our back parking lot here. If I were to actually move to what this camera is doing, it's a single lens. So what it's doing is it's pointed down, and you kind of get this fisheye view. But because of the megapixels and just the high resolution of these, you're able to break these up and get different viewpoints. This single camera is allowing us to see the entirety of the parking lot, as well as both entrances on the rear of the building, and even some of our mechanical equipment. Now, the great thing about the software that we have is this one camera. This is one view that'll record, but we can actually set this up to. I'm just throwing one out here. This is a separate view that will be independently recorded. That may provide some additional information. Or if we wanted just the fisheye so that we can see all of that mechanical equipment, those are 3 different feeds from one camera that we'll be able to track and record. There's a lot of places like that in the parks that we're actually going to be doing this. Again, this is a single lens. There are multi-lens 360 cameras that we have in this package as well that allow for some additional zoom and higher quality video. These are also FLIR, however you want to pronounce that, so that there's some night vision capability with all of these.
Okay.
So, and this is a live feed, so you can see it, even in low light, it's pretty visible.
All right. So, Tracy, are you looking for a motion to proceed based on this quote, or do we have a PO already?
Yes, I have a PO in the stack here
Okay,
tonight.
so we'll come to that then. All right, anything further for us to consider right now as to this?
Nope.
I can talk all night about technology, so
Yeah,
you need
please
to
don't.
tell me to move on. Thank you.
You and Scott will
I'm
talk
gonna
all
shut
night.
up now.
We'll just sit here.
Yeah. All right, what else do you have for us?
That's all I have under roads. Well, as everybody knows, I'm assuming everybody knows, our movie was canceled because of weather again.
Yeah, that's frustrating,
We haven't
but
had a lot
outdoors.
of good luck with that. As much dry weather as we've had,
Yeah.
we've had bad luck.
Yeah. All right, so we have a band coming up this weekend, is it?
Yep, Friday night.
Friday night, all right.
James.
All right, and that's in Bechtold.
Yeah, it should be a good one.
All right, anything else?
No, sir, that's it.
Any questions for Tracy from anybody? All right, thanks. Planning and zoning.
Okay. Big ticket item for me is this upcoming Monday, September 13th. Zoning Commission will be reviewing hopefully the final edition of the Sycamore Township Land Use Plan, as well as some modest updates to our current zoning resolution. If those are approved next week by commission, they'll be going to the next meeting of the Board of Trustees for full presentation and review. So there's light at the end of the tunnel. We're getting there.
Good.
So
Would you check through that document also? I skimmed through the current version of it that I guess we have published on the web, and I'm sure you have some updates, but some of the overhead pictures we had are a little out of date. For example, around the CIG project, all the houses are still there, things like that. If you can update the imagery, that might be helpful.
Yep. So we've already discussed some of those issues, as well as updating statistics. There's quite a bit of things. At some point, and this is the discussion with zoning commission, we need to adopt something and establish a baseline. Even if next March we go right back into it and we do an update, our current land use plan is woefully out of date. So I received multiple stacks of recommendations and changes from zoning commission. I'm updating the document with that round of updates now. Hopefully it'll go out tomorrow and uploaded to the website in that hopefully final form. But this is very much a living document. We're going to be updating graphics, updating statistics as we go. It's not something that's just going to sit on a shelf and collect dust, for 5 years. We're going to be right back at it, adding new sections, adding policy areas. I'll do a full presentation on it. Don't worry.
Okay.
But it is coming, and it's a substantial document that that can be reviewed and approved. As you know, Ms. Angie Zambert has started in her full-time capacity with the township as our planning and zoning assistant. She's been working on updates to the planning and zoning forms online, our applications, checklists, our simple Q&A sheets that we give out to the public. So all of those are being reviewed and will be coming out incrementally with updates. And she and I are also going through CAGIS processes and reporting forms. Right now, we really don't have good fleshed out reports that we can draw from CAGIS as far as those the zoning stats that I was trying to do. So we're trying to flesh those out so I can start doing those on a regular basis to the board and to the administrator. So as soon as we get through that, hopefully you'll be getting some good raw data coming out of my office.
Very good, thanks.
That's all I got tonight.
Any questions for Mr. Miller? All right, thanks. So moving on to the law director report.
Nothing to report this evening.
All right. Moving on to the administrator report. Tracy, are you handling that?
I am.
All right, just for the record, Mr. Work's on vacation through today, so take it away, Tracy.
So as you know, I handed you all a attachment for amended appropriations. So we need to do that. Obviously, before we do purchase orders, if you look through there, there's some for general out of administration. The rest of them are out of TIFs. It's for, most of it is for schools. There was not enough encumbered at the beginning of the year to handle what we need to pay them all year. So, or appropriated, not encumbered. So we have to amend those appropriations, and some are also for auditor's charges that they charge us for, and they come out automatically. So those have been paid. So these are appropriations that need to be changed.
Did you print the resolution for
I
that?
did. So I have a resolution amending 2021 appropriations, dispensing with the second reading, and declaring an emergency.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Porter, will you call the roll?
Mr. LaBarber?
Aye.
Mr. James?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
And before you proceed, Tracy, I just want to thank Debbie Campbell. She has been going through getting our bills paid very rapidly here, and that required these updates to the appropriations, and this is something that just came up late this afternoon, and she took care of it within a few hours and got it to you.
Yeah,
So
Debbie did a great
yeah.
job.
So thank you,
She
Debbie.
was- She was already gone for the day.
Right.
and
Did
she
this from
it
home.
From home.
Yeah.
So she did a marvelous job.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
So we also are looking for a motion to approve a COVID-19 sick bank hours. If you remember, last year we did one of these and had 1,000 hours of a sick bank. So if somebody did test positive and they had to be off, it did not affect their own personal sick time. It came out of the bank. So we've already had several people test positive, and we are looking for a motion to approve a sick bank of 750 hours. We think that will suffice, but if it does not, we can come back to you for more later.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion to add 750 additional hours to the sick bank, and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Porter, will you call the roll?
Mr. LaBarber?
Aye.
Mr. James?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
Okay, the only other thing I have is POs, and most of them are for the appropriations that we've just amended. So would you like to do these one at a time or together?
These are all the ones that were in the packet earlier, and there's nothing added from what we published online. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Was the cabling solutions PO in there?
That is the only one that is added, the cabling solutions that we just talked about. That is
Okay.
not in the packet.
If you would just for the record, read through the vendor and the amount as to these, and we'll approve them, I think, by number as a
Okay.
package here.
Okay, we have a PO to Boundtree Medical LLC for $15,000. That's for EMS supplies. One to Likens Energy Solutions for $40,000, and this is to wrap up the year for our fuel. One for LaForce for $8,657.08. That was for all the electronic locks at Bechtold. Bechtold was the one part that was not done. After we got the Wi-Fi completed, that's what that was for. Next one is for Indian Hill School District, and that's for $2,597,111.44, and that's their second half school payment. Next one for Princeton City Schools in the amount of $226,166.59. That is also their second half. Next PO is for Deer Park Community City Schools in the amount of $277,057, also their second half of their tax settlement. Next is Sycamore Board of Education for a total of $95,729.03, their second half. Next is Great Oaks Career Campuses, $187,059.25. That's their second half. Then The next one we have is the one that you didn't have in your packet. That's the professional cabling solutions, which we just discussed. That's $79,656.75. And then we have one at Payswell 2 LLC for $96,565.21. That's for the C-PACE assessments for 7450 Keller Road. And then we have one, the final one is for Pacewell 3 LLC for $114,307.80. And that's for the C-PACE assessment for 11500 North Lake.
C-PACE
Motion.
being, sorry, C-PACE being, if you would explain.
Skylar may be able to
Yep.
explain a little
Okay.
better than me.
So there is there's a public financing mechanism called PACE. It's Property Assessed Clean Energy. We're essentially a pass-through in this mechanism. A private commercial property owner will voluntarily, they will elect to have a special assessment placed on their property. They get the money up front as part of construction or renovations to a building for green
Green energy
projects,
purposes, right.
energy improvements. That debt service is that assessment that's placed on the the property tax bill.
Right. Thank
The county collects that. They pay us. We pay the lender.
Okay, thank you. Just
Motion
wanted
to approve the purchase orders?
Second.
All right, and thank you. I just wanted that stated on the record as to what it was. We have a motion to approve.
It
Yes.
should be noted, those PACE dollars, there is no public dollars being utilized to that lender, that we are just a pass-through.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the POs, which are 2021 POs 115, 556, 569, 573, 574, 575, 576, 577, 580, 582, and 583. Any discussion? Mr. Porter, will you call the roll?
Mr. LaBarbera?
Aye.
Mr. James?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
All right, anything else from the administrator side?
That is all I have.
All right, Mr. Porter, you are up.
Yes, I have receipts of $11,044,845.05. Disbursements of $6,402,156.42. The reason for the large size is the second half taxes came in, and that includes the TIF money and the amounts paid to the schools. And a complete listing of all the receipts and disbursements is available in the packet for your review.
Motion to approve?
And a second.
Any discussion? Mr. Porter?
Mr. LaBarbera?
Aye.
Mr. James?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
All right, thanks, Mr. Porter. And pass on our thanks to Debbie for what we were talking about earlier, please. Trustee comments? Mr. Weedman?
I have no comments, except looking forward to Brent James. Brent James, as you know, is a resident of Sycamore Township, and he's going to be playing in the park this weekend, so we're looking forward to that. That's all I have.
Mr. LaBarbera?
And I'll second that on Brent James, who lives across the street here with the Vintage Youth. And they'll be Friday night at 7 o'clock at Bechtold. And get a chance to listen to this guy. We've had him here for a number of events over the years. Folsom Prison Blues. I mean, it's just awesome. Not Johnny Cash, I'll tell you that. As a former Harley motorcycle owner, Motorcycle Church is a great song that he does. And I was very moved by the day Tom Petty died. He's a great performer. Brent James lives across the street. Special thanks to our Parks Director, Jason Petty, for canceling the movie on Saturday. He got ahead of the rain forecast. And I just want to call your attention to something that happened today at the Kenwood Country Club. Top-tier professional golf is returning to Greater Cincinnati, the LPGA, the Cougar Queen City Championship, presented by Procter & Gamble at our nearby Kenwood Country Club, September the 5th through the 11th. The purse is $1.75 million. The last time they competed here in Cincinnati was back in 1989. Nancy Lopez was in town today to do the event. Betsy Ross and the folks over at the country club, she claimed the title, Nancy Lopez at that time. It's good to have the ladies back. I played in a number of the Pro-Am LPGA tournaments over the years, and it's a great event. And this is a great event for our area, and we've got plenty of time to plan for this. I know this will be a boom for a lot of our businesses in Sycamore Township, and maybe somebody comes up with some creative ways to take advantage of this.
Anything else? All right. I had a few things, but I'm going to save for next time, I think, so we can keep us moving. I just want to thank our firefighters and EMS workers for everything Mr. Janis was speaking about earlier with his wife, and for everybody else in the community who they do that great work for. We see that in our retirement communities in our neighborhoods. Your guys are there all the time, right away, when people need help, and they take care of them. So pass that on,
I will do
Chief,
that.
from the
Thank you.
board.
Thank you.
Yeah, we all appreciate that. And I'll repeat again, thanks to Debbie for being so quick in what she got done this evening on her own time. So we have some announcement changes. The Board of Zoning Appeals meeting on Monday, September 20th is canceled, I assume due to lack of an agenda?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. JED's board meetings are Tuesday, September 21st. They were originally scheduled for today, but with yesterday being the holiday, we had moved that. CIC meeting is September 21st, also at 6:45 PM. Check our calendar for other items. And I will now move that we adjourn into executive session with Law Director Deepak Desai as permitted by Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22 to discuss imminent litigation, and secondly, to discuss sale of real property.
Second.
Any discussion as to that? Mr. Porter, will you call the roll? as
Mr.
to-
LeVar.
Aye.
Mr. James.
Aye.
Mr. Weezer.
Aye.
All right, now I'll invite Mr. Kellums, Mr. Desai, Mr. Porter, and Mr. Miller into the executive session. And we'll note that it is 8:01 PM currently as we adjourn into executive session. We'll be back in a little while. Tracy, you can just sit right there if you want.
And then I think the box things.
Okay.
Get out of the way.
Whatever.
Excuse me.
All right. Elliot, are we good?
Yes.
All right. We are back from executive session at 8:37 PM on September 7th.
Motion to adjourn?
Wait, we
Nope,
need roll call.
excuse me.
Sorry.
Excuse me?
Mr. Porter, would you call the roll?
Mr. LaBarber,
Here,
Mr. James,
Here.
Mr. Weedman.
Present.
All right, Mr. Weedman,
Motion to adjourn.
second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. We are adjourned at 8:37 PM.